Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, I am Yvette Lloyd. Welcome to Life Her Podcast. I have an amazing guest on here tonight. Her name is Jasmine Hawkins. She is an author, entrepreneur, and a co-founder of Becoming Her magazine, a platform dedicated to empowering women and amplifying diverse voices. She is also the founder of Hawkins Divine Print and Golden Steps Publishing, and she is also where she creates impactful literature addressing the key issues of autism and bullying. As a wife, mother of 4, and a business professional with a master's degree in business, human, and resources, Jasmine has balanced the multiple roles while staying committed to her faith. A passionate Christ advocate, she shares her testimony of redemption to guide others back to faith and purpose. Her books, Jason Becomes a Hero and Dear God, Thank You, inspire gratitude, resilience, and meaningful conversations. Through her work, Jasmine has continued to uplift communities, advocate for important social causes, and also help others step into God-given purpose. Y'all, I welcome you, Jasmine. Hey, girl.
Hey, that was a lot.
But that was you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, well, literally all the time when I do my intros, everybody be like, wait a minute, that was me.
Right.
Yes. And you know, none of us give each other or give ourselves credit. Never. And we do things so passionately and it comes from the heart to a point. We don't notice what we do until someone does something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, girl.
Yes. Well, you're doing an amazing job, Jazz.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited too. So, off top, I'm gonna get it started. You openly share your journey of redemption and faith. Can you walk us through the moment that changed your path and led you back to Christ?
So, I guess I can start off just by saying that I kind of was always in the church for us in some kind of way. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and my relationship with God was kind of on more of the iffy side. I felt like, I just wasn't on his radar. I felt like he wasn't talking to me. And like I just had things going on in my life. Like I had sleep paralysis when I was young. And there was one time where like I would hear things banging up against my walls and stuff like that. And I would pray and like it'll stop, but it was just like, like what is my place with God? What is my purpose? I had so many questions that was really going unanswered. And I remember one time I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, like, why am I here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did God put me here? And she was like, girl, get out of my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know the answer to that, and that kind of that sat with me for a while because it was like, well, if my mom doesn't know, then God is not answering me, then how am I supposed to know, And so, and growing up as a 90s baby, we had Disney, we had Harry Potter, we had all of the magic things, right? And I was just always like intrigued about it. I used to always hear myself say, oh, I wish I could be, a witch or do magic spells and stuff like that. And it wasn't until COVID when that actually happened.
Wow.
Yeah, like it went from just a thought to actually happening. And it wasn't until Clubhouse. I don't know if you know Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So when it first came out, it was exclusive, like you had to have an invite and all of that. So, I'm looking for somebody to give me an invite. And it was this photographer who I had a cosmetic line at the time. She did a photo shoot for me, and she invited me to Clubhouse, and that's how I got in. So I spent like all day just looking through all the rooms and stuff like that. And this was during a very dark period for me and for my family, because this was around the time that my husband had lost his grandfather, who I was actually very close with. And he helped me to feel like a sense of place in the family. And when he passed away, then my aunt passed away shortly after, that helped raise me. I was like in a dark space.
Wow.
And I came across this room on Clubhouse, and they were doing readings. And I went into the room, and, you know, I'm trying to get a reading because, like, I've never had a reading before. You know, we're always told, do not get a reading. Don't have anybody read your palm and stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm grown now. Like, I want to see, you know, what it is to get a reading. So I went into this room. I'm watching everybody get their reading. Or I'm listening to everybody get their readings. And I'm raising my hand, and then I don't get picked. And I did that about 2 or 3 times. And by the third time, I was like, you know what? Forget about it. This obviously is not for me. But it wasn't until that third time that I actually got pulled into a private room to do a reading. And she told me, she was like, you had a loss, and your grandfather is saying that he's watching over you. And I lost it, because nobody really knew that he had passed away. You know, I didn't really make a big announcement or anything like that. And so for her to know that was kind of crazy to me. So, like, I was hooked after that. And you know, I would go into the room almost every single day. I started to have private conversations with her and a bunch of other women that was also in the group, and it became like a little, I don't even want to say like a sisterhood or something like that, but we all was just hanging out and talking and doing FaceTime. But things just started kind of being a little bit weird with her, because like she had to see our face, you know. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why do you need to see our face? You know, and it was like a requirement. And and I remember one day I looked at myself in my car, in the little visor thing in the car, and I looked like I was being drained. Like, I looked like I look grayed and shriveled up, you know. And it's kind of weird, because I really didn't look like that on the outside, but it was kind of like I was like seeing myself in a different way, and it scared me. And so it was at that point where I was like, okay, well, something's not right. I think this lady is like draining our energy. You know, there are energy vampires out there that will literally attach to you just so that they can, you know, suck up your energy. And so after that, I just started to kind of like make it a point to tell everybody like they need to stop being around her. You know, let's just not be around her anymore. You know, let's go somewhere else. And I just started to get like real sick. I'm not really a sickly person. And so for me to be sick for an entire year was kind of crazy for me. Yeah. I had salmonella at the top of the year. I looked like I was like 7 months pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I had COVID twice, and then I had the flu. So it was like, you know, it was like, it was hard. It was a hard year. It was a hard year. And I went on a trip, on a like a spiritual trip. She was actually a practicing witch, and I won a contest, so I was able to go, and it was on my birthday, which was crazy because I never win anything. Okay, like I don't win nothing. So for me to win, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go. Like, I was telling my husband, like, I don't win things, so like for this to happen, I have to go. And to go to Mexico is like, back then was like maybe like $300. I paid $600 for that plane ticket. And knowing I did not have that money, but I was like, I have to go. So I went, caught COVID out there. Well, I went to Mexico with COVID, but I didn't know I had COVID. And it was just a crazy trip. And I got a reading at the trip, and she was just like attacking my marriage, like, your husband's cheating on you. And I'm like, while I'm on vacation, like, my husband's out in Atlanta, like, and I'm in Mexico. Why are you telling me this? And I can't even get to my man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm just pacing around the room while she's talking. I'm like, while I'm on vacation, I'm like, the ancestors are telling you this while I'm on vacation. Like, I don't get vacations like this. So why would they do this while I'm on vacation? You know? And so I found out that I had COVID. And so I'm like, nope, I don't want to do nothing else. I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to go to quarantine. And they was like, no, come to the manifestation class with us. It's okay because we've been around each other the whole trip. And I'm like, no, I'm going to my room because I want to quarantine and I want to talk to my man. So I go to my room and I'm talking to my husband, and he's like, girl, like, calm down. Like, you know that I'm not doing anything. Like, they're attacking our marriage. And they had been doing that, like, the readings, like all different types of readings. Mind you, I would get readings from different people, and it was always the same thing. It was really never about me. It was always about an attack on my marriage. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was just like, you know what? You're right. Like this doesn't feel right, And so it was at that point where I started to slowly step away. And when I finally got back, maybe like a few weeks or months later, I told my daughter, I was like, maybe it's time for you to start learning, some spells or whatever, and she looked at me like, if that's what you want. And I'm like, is that not what you want? And she's like, I mean, I guess. And I'm like, I never want to do anything that's going to hurt my family,
Right.
And so that kind of hit me a little different. Like, it convicted me a little bit, like, okay, wait, well, hold on. So I told her to go upstairs and I'll talk to her later. And I sat down and I talked to God, and I was like, if this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't want to hurt my family. Like, I don't like how she looked at me. Like, if this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, show me so that I can know that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And within 3 days, flood works. Every time I opened up my phone on TikTok, I had videos that was like, witchcraft is an abomination. God detests witchcraft and sorcery. Every time I opened up a book, there was this book that my mother-in-law had gave me, but she had me look at it. And I don't even know how that even happened, but she had me look at it, and I opened up the book, and instantly a page about how God talks about in his word that he doesn't like witchcraft and that we should have nothing to do with it. We shouldn't be around anybody that does it. And it was at that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing something that is against God. That was never my intention, because I always believed in God. I never not believed in him. I just felt like I wasn't being seen and heard from him.
Gotcha.
And so after that, I talked to my mother-in-law, and she took me to go get delivered. And it was crazy. Like, Satan did not want to let me go. I had demons coming to my house, because my kids, they can see. So, my daughter was like, there's a man that's outside in the backyard. And I'm like, girl, I don't see nothing in the backyard. And she's like, she has said it the same thing for about a week or two. And I'm like, all right. I told my husband, I was like, you got to go outside and figure out what's going on. Like, I'm tired of hearing it. It's scaring the crap out of me. Go out there and go look. And I've never seen my husband so, like, not really afraid, but afraid, for lack of a better word. I could hear him outside praying and telling it to go away. And he was like, "Oh, you stink." Because, demons have a smell. They smell like garbage. So if you ever have a smell of garbage in your house or around you and there's no reason for you to have that smell, there's something going on. There's something around you. And that was it. That was all she wrote. I got rid of everything out of my house. I threw everything away. I set it on fire. I got rid of it. And it brought me back to God.
Wow. If you, how can I explain it? I don't know. It was something about you were saying, like, as far as like pandemic and things like that. It was like a phase that I was seeing throughout a lot of people where they were getting pulled away from God.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people that was pulling more towards him. And I feel like it was something going on around that time. It was a lot going on. And ironically, with me running my business and everything, I took some losses myself, as far as like how you took a important loss to someone close to you. It actually brought me closer to God myself. But it also I also led myself away to bring God more into my podcast as well, as far as us being business owners and us still having faith, because faith is really, really strong. You could either have it or you can't, you
Yeah.
know? And so you will go back and forth when it comes to things like that. Now, many people struggle with like feelings of lost spirituality. What advice do you give to someone that's searching for faith and purpose?
That's a good question, because that's exactly where I was. I'm still looking for my purpose, and I think I have, that God has finally given me a viewpoint of what my purpose is. But what helped me was opening the door for God to be able to come in. All he needs is a crack. You know what I'm saying? Just open dialogue. Me sitting in my room by myself, and I hadn't really talked to God in God knows how long. And for me to be like, well, God, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Is this when I'm like, is this right? Can you show me? Like, something, help me out. And like, I talk to God real. I don't do the proper stuff. I talk to God just like I would, a friend or a family member. And by me starting that conversation, allow God to do work in me. I gave
Mm,
him a chance to finally, show up in my life. And I think that if somebody is searching for their purpose, and is feeling kind of lost, just do that. Just open dialogue with God. And I know that sounds so cliche, but you know, it wouldn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
nothing else is working.
right,
So why not give it a try?
right. So you spoken about like helping those entangled in spirituality or witchcraft, trying to find their way back to faith. How
Mhm.
do you approach these conversations with love and understanding with individuals?
Um, I guess I do remember one conversation that I had. It was like the very first one that I had. And it was at an event. And I I just kind of like did a straight shooter. And I was told, like, that's a little too aggressive, like you have to come at people a little more softer, because this is their way of life, and they can become defensive. And they were right, because she was like throwing all these questions at me, and was just kind of like being a little defensive, and I'm still new in my faith, so it's like I didn't have scriptures, none of that, and so the way that I do it now is I talk about my experience. I talk about my experience. I talk about, how God showed me in his word that this is not okay, and that's pretty much all you can do. God isn't putting us into people's lives to change them. He's putting us into their lives to give them a nugget so that it can grow into something, so that he can use that to help grow something into them. I wasn't put here to change anybody. That's God's realm.
Right.
Yeah. So all I can give is my experience and give them that seed, and then God does the rest.
Yeah. I'm very happy and thankful that you found your way back to him, and I could tell you still working on it
Yeah.
as well, and you're still trying to have your path, and I pray that you get the peace and the understanding and continue your journey of getting to know God, because God is an amazing individual and he will help you through any and everything. One thing I don't want you to do, I don't want you to feel less of yourself or feel like you're like um out of touch with a lot of things, because it's a lot of people that go through things too,
Yeah.
and they're just not vocal the way you are. A lot of people
Mhm.
just hold theirs in, and they don't have anyone to talk to communicate with or anything like that. No one is perfect. No one has the answers for everything. However, I do pray, and I will pray for you to continue your journey, because you deserve to get to know him. You deserve to have that relationship with him. You deserve it all, because it's no greater person than him. And just continue to have the faith. Just know it's not going to be perfect. And during your storm season, it's not him pulling away from you. It's him bringing you closer to him. And we have to go through it to get through it.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
really do. You do, because it's just needed at all times when it comes to having that relationship with him. I watched my mom take her last breath, and I found my husband dead and gone.
Mm.
So going through that, I was upset with him as well, at a point of time, but I didn't go away from him. But I was upset, but I also had to understand why did I go through that, and it's to help and communicate with people like yourself and other people as well, because sometimes it's difficult to not communicate with people that haven't been through something and not really understand that authentic relationship with God, instead of just throwing Bible verses and stuff
Mm.
at you. You need some real authentic conversations to be able to get through something, some real testimonies for you to actually get through it.
Mhm.
So just always know that he's with you.
And I agree with that. I feel like the things that we go through in our lives is not just for us to go through them, but it's for us to
Mhm.
go through them so that we can help somebody else. you
Yes.
know and just like you were saying, like, instead of throwing Bible verses at people and then they start to get defensive, you can come at them with a more, I went through it so that you don't have to go through it.
Mhm. Yes. It's the truth. And you got it. You got it. Trust me, you do. So your book, Jason Becomes a Hero, is based on your son's journey. Can you share how his story inspired you to write it?
Yes, that was Jason Becomes a Hero was my very first children's book, and I wanted it to be about my son because He is autistic. He's autistic and ADHD, and he was in a weird place in his life. And I just wanted to empower him and to empower other children that are autistic. And so I used his autism as superpowers. My son
Yeah.
can, like, he has this way with animals, right? Like, he pet a goose. Now, how many people can do that? Them things attack, okay?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so to see that, I was like, oh my gosh. So he has a way with animals. So I put in the book where he can talk to animals. He's super strong. So I put in the book where he's basically like a superhero. He saves a classmate, and he's trying to save his classmate, and uses too much force, and and like you can see like how he's a little bit awkward in the book, with too much attention on him. My son doesn't like a whole lot of attention on him, and so I just wanted to highlight that, because I didn't really see any books like that, and so I wanted to do that for my son and to empower him.
Wow, that is amazing.
Thank you.
So you are also co-founder of Becoming Her magazine. What inspired you to create a platform that amplifies women's voices?
So the idea actually came from my business partner, Crystal Jordan. And she came to me because I had a really bad experience with another magazine. And so she was like, well, why don't we just do it ourselves and just start our own magazine? Because she's always wanted to have a magazine. I liked magazines growing up. But I was like, I don't want to be like a tabloid, a gossip column. I want it to be something empowering. And so she
Mm.
was like, well, we have to niche it down. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do women, and so but I want them to feel seen and heard. And so
Mm.
that's when Becoming Her magazine became.
Wow, that is amazing. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of magazines that are being created for women and like hearing their voices and stuff, and I'm loving this because you really don't see that much, and you really don't see the voices of different women. Like a lot of times we have magazines, but you see the same women in every magazine, but seeing it being varieties of magazines and they're actually giving these women voices and reading so many amazing stories, and it's like it's so inspiring because it's like wow, it's more of us out here that have a voice and is making things happen. So I really appreciate you and your co-founder for creating something so dope.
Yeah, thank you. Like, we really wanted to focus on the everyday woman,
Yes.
and not just like celebrities. Like, there's enough media out there. Now you might see them on the cover, but on the inside, the roots
Yeah.
of the magazine
Yes.
is the everyday women.
Yes. I love that. I do. I'm all for it, girl. I am. So how do you juggle into as far as running Hawkins Diamond Print, Golden Steps Publishing, and Becoming Her magazine while being a wife, a mother of four? Because girl, that was just a mouthful just saying it.
Honestly, how people be like, oh, like you just have to uh just, I guess, organize everything. I am not an organized person.
Oh,
I don't know how people do that. I'm still trying to figure it out. I have 4 kids. Organized where? Um, so how I do is by the grace of God, because I am truly overwhelmed. I am. I'm
okay.
being fully transparent. I have my moments where I'm just like, you know, I'm like in tears, because I'm like, it's such a blessing, It is a blessing that God has put all of these gifts in me to be able to do all of these things. And I put myself in therapy,
That's good.
I put myself in therapy so that I can be able to process my thoughts. I can have somebody to help me figure out this, how to navigate through this life. Um, and so right now I'm setting boundaries. I'm setting boundaries. I am taking things off of my plate that does me no justice. If you are not helping, like if I'm helping you and we're not, it's not an equal energy exchange. No, that season is over. That season is over. I am so tired of being used by people. It don't make no sense.
Girl, you preach it to the choir.
Yeah, because I'm such a kind person. And I say kind because God doesn't talk about us being nice. And if you look at the word nice in the dictionary, it's really not a great thing. So I'm a very kind person, and I feel like people take that for granted and they use that as a form of weakness, and it's not. It's really my strong suit, because there are a lot of unkind people out here. You know,
it is.
And so when you meet a kind person, you don't use and abuse them. You know, you keep them in your circle, because there's a lot of crazy people out there, you know, that really don't care about you. And so I'm just being more intentional. You know, God has a bigger purpose for me, and I cannot have dead weight on me no more. So boundaries, therapy, and God.
Yes. You know, that's amazing, because I think a lot of people are having these like awakening moments where they are creating boundaries and they are tired of people using them. And you know, we all have dealt with monitoring spirits of people monitoring everything that we do, or realizing that we are ditching out so much in our relationships with individuals when they don't do the same for us. And it's like, it's an eye opener. It's like, man, I'm sitting here genuinely being a friend to you, and you just take. And then once I create a boundary, or I say no, or I start doing things for myself, that's when you start feeling some kind of way.
Right.
And it amazes me. And you know, that's part of the levels of our growth, and like building relationships for no new people. I seen this one thing when it was saying like no new friends.
That was me.
Yeah,
that
but it's
me.
like, but it's in that moment, like right now, we do need new friends.
Yeah, because
We
how
need,
can you grow?
yes, and new friends that are going in the same direction as us, that has more than us. Like, look, we could just elevate together, and it makes you feel good of having even positive conversations, you know, because you know, who wants to sit around and have, oh, you see such and such do this and all of that. No, it's more of elevation, healing, healthy conversations that have growth, trust, actually loving your friends. So those are the type of things that we need now, because we're getting older, we're not getting younger. Life is short. We've dealt with so much in our personal lives. It creates us to want more peace more than anything, you know?
Yes, I agree with that. That is exactly what I'm looking for. Peace. Peace and happiness. And if
Yes.
you're not bringing me peace and happiness, I cannot keep you in my circle. I cannot. It's so draining. And
Yes.
I'm just tired of being drained, you know? And with the friend thing, I definitely was the no new friends. Like, I have my husband, I have my best friend, don't really need anybody else. But just recently, I started asking God, I was like, okay, all right, you know, I have trust issues, you know, and so I'm trusting God to bring the right people into my circle. I can't be held responsible for my life personally, and so I'm letting God send who needs to be in my life, and for Him to take out the people that can't fit in that anymore. And girl, He been taking people out. He been taking people out in my life. With just in the last couple of days, like some big things has been happening with people like not being in my circle no more. And I'm like, it's so crazy. It's just like, okay, I know that's God. Like your time is up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's above me now, you know,
Yeah.
like you didn't appreciate, you know, my presence in your life. You didn't appreciate God placing me into your life. And so now he's taking me out.
I know that's right. So,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for women who want to pursue entrepreneurship but struggle with the self doubt, fear of failure?
That is me. That is me. I also want to add in the imposter feeling.
Mm.
So what I have been doing is, you know, I separate myself from people that I see that I'm starting to imitate. I'm like, nope. Unfortunately, I got to block you for right now, and so I can stay focused. You know, so I guess all I've been doing is praying. I'm sorry. All I've been doing is praying, you know, because I'm still in my learning season.
Yeah.
You know, God is placing a new project into my life. And so I'm feeling all of those feels right now. You know, I'm overwhelmed. I feel like an imposter. I don't feel qualified. I don't feel, you know, I don't feel equipped for this, all of this stuff. And so I'm doing this scared. I'm scared as heck.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that God is not going to forsake me. He is not going to leave me to fend for myself. He's already went ahead of me and set a path for me to walk on. And so I have to trust that God got me
Yes.
because who else will have me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I know that sounds cliche, but that is literally the only thing that is helping me to stay focused, to keep going. And plus, I don't want to upset him because I know that this project that I'm doing, this new business that I'm doing, he wants me to use that to help his people, you know. And so that is scary. That's a heavy weight, you know. That's a heavy book bag. You know what I'm saying? To be walking on this
Yeah.
path. And so I have to lean on him. You know, like he placed this on me, so he has to help me get through it.
Yeah, they do. And he will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your journal, dear God, thank you, encourages gratitude. What role has gratitude played in your personal journey?
Um, um, Gratitude. It's the foundation. You know, I almost died 3 times. You
Wow.
know, I could have died in childbirth. You know, when I was giving birth to my first child. You
Wow.
know, um, I'm just forever grateful. You know,
Yeah.
God saw something in me to keep me here, to keep pushing, you know? And so my entire life is about gratitude. You know, I've I've been at the steps of death, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
multiple times. More than I can count now. I'm thinking about like, dang, Satan, you really trying to get rid of a sister.
Yeah.
But I'm just forever grateful, even for the people that have hurt me,
Mhm.
for the people that have come into my life to help me, get on my path with God. That have that I'm grateful for the people that have sat on the phone and heard me cry multiple times. You know, I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my mom. You know, my mother-in-law, my business partner. You know, I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years. You know,
Wow.
and yes, I had businesses, but I didn't really know where my life was going. And God placed, you know, my business partner in my life to and he used her to help me get to where I am now, you
Mhm.
know? And so with like honestly, like I've been sitting like I went through life thinking like God didn't see me, you know, he didn't hear me. I just wasn't on his radar. But when in reality, I had always been on his radar. He had always been there. He's always shown up for me. I just couldn't see it, and I never really appreciated it. And so now I am forever. I'm grateful for everybody, even
Yeah.
when you hurt me.
Wow. So what does becoming her means to you personally?
Well, Becoming Her magazine for me personally is a platform to be seen and heard. I grew up feeling unheard and unseen, and we have helped over 300 plus women be heard and seen.
Wow.
And to share their stories when they felt like nobody wanted to hear it. We've given them a platform, and I feel like we are where we are today because we put God in the forefront. God was not in the forefront of our magazine to begin with. When we first started, we were accepting any and everybody. And so now God brings us the people that he wants us to feature. And to see the impact that we've had on the women that we feature, even some of the men that we feature, because we spotlight men too. It's a blessing, yeah, it's a blessing.
It feels so good just talking to you because at the same time you're still healing, but you feel inspired at the same time, and you feel like you're going towards more peace than not having peace. It's just so much. You have an amazing light over you. You're just going to have to continue to keep pushing and keep having faith
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to it. And it feels good for me to actually see you actually just going in that direction, and it's going to keep going well for you. You just got to keep going.
Thank you. And I have my moments,
Yeah, you're
I'm not
human.
yeah, I'm human. I'm not perfect. I have my moments where I don't talk to God, and I'm trying to figure this thing out on my own. And I'm like, I can't, like I said earlier, I cannot be in charge of my life. I am not equipped to be able to do it, obviously. I've literally said that to God. Look, I don't know. I ain't trying to be in charge of, or you got this. I suck at this.
Mhm.
I suck at it. You got it. Yeah, I'm definitely in my learning season. Um, and I look forward to helping people along the way that's coming up behind me.
Yeah.
I'm putting a ladder down, because I want to help the next and the next and the next. And I fought this my whole life. I was like, God, I do not want to help people. That better not be my gift. That better not be my gift. And the reason why I said that is because I knew that was my gift, you
Yeah.
know. And I thought like, oh, maybe that was the medical field or something. No, I would have never imagined where I am today. This is all God.
Wow, that is amazing. So, how do you hope to leave a lasting impact on the world through your work?
Mm. Um, I think that will be my faith-based social club. As I'm creating a social club called the Fearless Flock, and I am creating a community for men and women to come together to learn more about God, to 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 feel a sense of community with God in the forefront. You know, it doesn't have to always be so stuffy and it's churchy and stuff like that. No, you can have fun with
Yeah.
God. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
can have networking events, you can have Bible studies, you can have business seminars, you can have girls' night, and all of these things, and it be fun with God, you know.
Mhm.
And so that is what I'm creating. That is going to be my legacy. This is how I'm going to be able to help God's people.
That is amazing. So, if you could go back and give your younger Jasmine one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a good question. That's a good question. It's okay. And I say that to myself all the time. It's okay. You know, I've always been so afraid of being alone. I've been so afraid of not amounting to anything. And I guess that's just, that could be so many things that I've heard, seen in my family and stuff like that. Wherever that may have came from, that could have been from Satan himself. You know what I'm saying? But I've always just had this sense of, am I going to amount for anything? You know, like, am I going to amount to something? And I would tell my younger self, it's okay, because you're heading in the right direction, and just don't give up, because I have my moments where I want to give up. You know, it's hard. Having a business is hard. Having a family is hard. You know, and trying to do it all together is hard. But you just have to keep pushing through, and to not give up, because I have my kids. My kids are my why, you know, and I want them to be proud of me, you know, and so to do that, I can't give up, because then I'll show them that's an option, and that's not an option for my kids, so it can't be an option for me.
I love that. That is amazing. So how can people get in touch with you and connect with you and follow everything that you're doing?
Okay, so you can follow me at Jazzy_Hawks. That's JAZZY_Hawks, HAWKS. You can follow my social club, The Fearless Flock, TheFearlessFlock. You can also follow the magazine at Becoming Her Mag, my author business at Hawkins Divine Print, and my publishing agency at Golden Step Publishing, on all platforms.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jazz. I really appreciate you for being on my show, sharing your testimony, which is like jaw dropping, and it's inspiring at the same time, because you still a work in progress and you're honest about it, and you putting it out there to let other people know as well. And I pray if someone ever listens to this, then it can relate to what you are going through. They can reach out to help you, or you can help them.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and giving me a platform. Thank you so much.
Yes, you are more than welcome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Life Heard Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, and also listen to Life Heard Podcast on all major platforms on audio. Have a blessed day.
Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.